Well, a very good morning on the 17th of July 23. I haven't logged every single complaint. Well, it's been sent off to the BBC. I've sent several in the last week. The reason I'm sending so many complaints to the BBC is because it annoys them. Just as much as it takes up their time. They're legally bound to respond and also to put it on their websites as to the natures of these complaints and their responses. They're legally bound to do so. And the reason I complain, as I say, is because it annoys them just as much as it annoys me every time I open up the BBC website and find there's some other nonsense about high temperatures and a report about it, completely biased and no logic applied at all. This time they're scratching about in Death Valley in Arizona and the southwest of the United States of America, in Nevada and New Mexico and stuff like that, Texas. And so anyway, I've reached the maximum on the words that I can use. They only allow you so many characters. So this is the nature of my complaint. It's bias. Subject of your complaint, world temperatures. This complaint, the word format. The BBC are beginning to make a fool of themselves with the obsessive reporting. Typo error, Andrew. Put an O there, please. And a B for about. This is what happens when you type too quickly. With obsessive reporting about weather extremes across the globe, they seem to want to highlight every thermometer reading without applying any logic to their reports. Now they are scraping around Arizona, Death Valley and other parts of the desert regions of the USA, including Nevada, to somehow convince readers of extreme weather. Should I say readers or viewers? I suppose readers is okay. Arizona and New Mexico, along with Texas and Nevada, often experience extreme temperatures, and given that it is high summer in the northern hemisphere, 40 to 50 degrees Celsius is not uncommon. Please check available stats and records of these regions. In winter, you never report the extreme cold, say in Yakutsk in Russian Siberia, where the temperature often falls below -40 to -60 degrees Celsius, and with extremes even colder. Well, that's correct, Andy. There is no balance in any of your reporting, and always searching for high temperatures globally, which are perfectly normal. What about reporting Scotland and the wider UK, which has had a cooler and wetter July than average, meaning the UK summer so far has in fact seen below average sunshine and lower temperatures on average. I have to say that there's been a lot of complaints to the BBC about their temperatures that were given recently, and they haven't detailed the nature of the complaints. But the response from the 4th of July apparently was that there was something wrong with the graphs, and they've spoken to their supplier on a fix for these problems. Now, I can only assume that what the problem was is they've been giving false temperatures, and somebody like myself has stepped outside with a thermometer, for example, and measured their own temperature and thought, why am I only getting 24 degrees yet on the BBC website it's telling us it's 29? So, I don't know, because there's not enough information to make any further comment there. Anyway, I continue by saying the BBC used to also report on the impact of the cycle of El Nino, which is currently active, but prefer to highlight other environmental type of error, Andy. There we go. But prefer to highlight other environmental factors, and not once do the BBC investigate the possibility of how astrology affects our world weather. Mars is in the sign of Virgo, where it will remain until the 26th of August 2023. Mars, the planet of fire, does not mix well with Virgo, an earth sign, and significant weather events can occur during this transit. Nothing to do with any nonsense about climate change, which is a myth proposition to create a multi-billion-pound industry to satisfy a failing industrial landscape in most developed countries. The BBC's continuous reporting of global high temperatures and then labelling them, I'll put globally. No, the BBC's continuous reporting of global high temperatures and then labelling every freak weather event as part of climate change has become tiresome as much as it is ludicrous. And I don't get any more letters or words available to continue. So that's my message and nature of my complaint. And Mars, I mean, we can go back to 2004. Mars being the fire planet, it's a planet of war, it's a planet of heat. It's like the sun cycles affect our weather. It's nothing to do with what we're doing. It's nothing to do with what car you drive or anything. It's all astrology, in my opinion. And when Mars and Virgo club together, then obviously you're going to get some extremes, and that includes volcanoes and earthquakes, because as you know, Earth and volcanic eruptions through Mars activity. So I wouldn't be surprised over the next 6 weeks. For example, we see reports of multiple volcanoes erupting, earthquakes, and extremely high temperatures across the globe. It'll settle itself down, just like everything in nature. Nature is perfectly balanced, and we only need to see that in our home turf here in Scotland, where we had high temperatures, prolonged dry sunny period in June, followed by wet, fucking miserable, cloudy, cool conditions for all of July so far. It's been 18 days of non-stop crap weather, and nowhere on any BBC website have they reported the crap weather in Scotland. And the Met Office, who continuously issue weather warnings, along with the regional newspaper, always telling you about thunderstorms and the likes, and yet in the last 18 days I haven't heard one single clap of thunder, and haven't seen or witnessed one strike of lightning. So I don't know where they're getting all this stuff from. I haven't become obsessive about this. I just want to bring it to the attention that what they report is complete nonsense. You should have a gaze at the BBC websites. You should look into the history of the complaints database. It's absolutely amazing how many lies that they've told on programmes. Everything from news bulletins to current affair programs, even down to these magazine shows and stuff, where the guests or something maybe say something contentious or bias, and complaints come in from people who know better, and they've got to correct it and apologise. So, I mean, I sort of saying everything that you hear, you have to put a question mark against it. And I'm afraid that opening up my BBC News website this morning only to be confronted by the BBC making claims about the 40 degrees plus temperatures in Death Valley, Arizona, really is scraping the bucket as far as I'm concerned. I mean, that's why they call it Death Valley. Nobody should be wandering about in the Arizona desert.